everyone, so today we're going to talk about using the Pythagorean theorem. So we learned that the Pythagorean theorem is a squared plus b squared equals c squared, and that works for any right triangle. Why are we learning about this? Well, another reason is you can use the Pythagorean theorem to find distances without measuring, including distances in space. When you know the length of one leg and the hypotenuse of a right triangle, you can use the Pythagorean theorem to find the length of the other leg. So, we already talked about this, but if you didn't take it in your notes last time, you want to make sure you put it in your notes this time. So again, it's a squared plus b squared equals c squared. A and b are our legs, and their legs always touch the right angle, and the hypotenuse is the side across from the right angle. So before we were finding the hypotenuse, now we're given the hypotenuse and we need to find the leg. So we're still going to use a squared plus b squared equals c squared. A and b are our legs, so I have 9 squared. I don't know what b squared is, so I'm going to leave it b squared. And then I'm going to take 15 squared, because c is my hypotenuse, because it's the side across from the right angle. So again, you want to make sure that it's just showing all of your work so you can follow your steps. So, we know that 9 squared is 81 plus b squared equals 15 squared, which is 225. So now I need to get my term to one side. So the opposite of adding is subtracting. So I'm going to subtract 81 from both sides. That's going to cancel out, and I'm going to be left with b squared. Then 225 minus 81 is 144. So just like before, we take the opposite of squaring, which is the square root, and b equals 12 centimeters. So again, all of your work should be shown so that you can follow along step by step. So I had one leg, which was 9 squared. I didn't know my other leg, which was b squared, and I know the hypotenuse across from the right angle is 15 squared. 9 squared is 81. I don't know what b squared is. 15 squared is 225. Then I needed to get this 81 to the other side, so I used inverse operation. Opposite of adding, subtracting. What do I do to this side? I have to do to this side. Brought down my b squared. Got 144, and then I take the opposite of squaring, which is the square root. Let's look at this one. So it tells us that one leg is 12, and the hypotenuse is 15. So I know I can just plug in 12. And then I have 15 squared. 12 squared is 144 plus b squared equals 15 squared, which is, we saw on the slide before, 225. So now, just like the slide before, I want to use inverse operation. So the opposite of adding, again, is subtraction. I'm going to subtract 144 from both sides. This cancels out. I bring down b squared. 225 minus 144 is 81. I take the opposite of squaring, which is taking the square root, and b equals 9 meters. This says the hypotenuse of a right triangle is 20 and 2/10 feet long. One leg is 12 and 6/10 feet long. Find the length of the other leg rounded to the nearest tenth. So you're going to use a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Remember, a and b are your legs, c is your hypotenuse. So go ahead and try this one and plug in the values. So you should have plugged in 12 and 6/10 for the leg. We don't know what b squared is, and we know that the hypotenuse is 20 and 2/10. Square both of the numbers. Opposite of adding is subtracting. We take the inverse of squaring, which is taking the square root. We want to round to the nearest 10, so on your calculator is 15.788. So we round up to 15 and 8/10 feet. Go ahead and try this one on your own. Again, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So here you should have plugged in a squared plus 12 squared equals 13 squared. Found out that 12 squared is 144, 13 squared is 169. The opposite of adding is subtracting. You're left over with 25, and you have 5 centimeters. Make sure you're showing your steps. This question says the bottom of a ladder is 2 5/10 feet from the side of the wall. How far to the nearest 10 is the top of the ladder from the ground? Well, think about it. When you have a ladder and you're going to climb up a ladder, you're not going to put the ladder straight up. If you put the ladder straight up, you're going to fall backward. So you're always going to lean your ladder so that you can climb up the ladder. You're going to lean it against a wall. So if I draw this picture, it kind of looks like a right triangle. So we have a 10-foot ladder, and it's 2 5/10 feet from the wall. How far to the nearest 10th is it from the top of the ladder to the bottom? So you want to find the height. So again, you're going to use a squared plus b squared equals c squared. We know that 10 is our hypotenuse, 2 5/10 is our leg. So go ahead and find what the leg is. So you should have plugged in and gotten 6 25/100 plus b squared equals 100. Inverse operation of adding and subtracting, and then take the opposite of squaring, which is the square root, round it to the nearest 10, that is 9 7/10 feet. When we want to find the approximate length, we're going to just round like we've been doing. We're going to round to the 10th. So again, the hypotenuse is always across from right angles, so we know we have a leg. So 6 squared plus b squared equals 9 squared. So 36 plus b squared equals 81. I'm going to subtract 36 because that's the opposite of adding. 81 minus 36 is 45. The opposite of squaring a number is taking the square root. The square root of 45 on your calculator gives you 6.708. So round to the 10 and get 6 7/10 inches. Go ahead and round to the nearest 10 for this problem. Make sure you read what it says, and if you're looking for the leg or the hypotenuse, so you should have plugged in 8 squared for the leg, 15 squared for the hypotenuse, went through and solved, inverse operation, rounded to the nearest 10th, and got 12 7/10 meters. So this just takes us relaying this back to what we learned about on the very first slide, and says that we can use this when we're looking at space. So it says satellites that relay TV signals to Earth cruise at a distance of about 2,200 miles above Earth's surface. The radius of the Earth is about 4,000 miles. Find the distance from the satellite to point T in the diagram below. Round to the nearest 100 miles. So the diagram above shows a right triangle with a hypotenuse of 2,200 miles plus 4,000 miles, or 26,200 miles. the length of the known leg is 4,000 miles. So we want to find the length of the other leg. We're looking for our hypotenuse here. So I want you to take a look at this and think about what we know. So we know that one leg is 4,000. We know that together, we know now that the hypotenuse is 26,200. So what I'm going to do is take a squared plus, we know one leg is 4,000, and we're going to square that, and it tells us that the hypotenuse is 26,200 miles squared. So now you can go ahead, use your calculator, because these are large numbers, and find out what these will equal. We know our hypotenuse is across from the right angle. This is a leg, this is a leg. So we're looking for A. So this one used large numbers. So we should have taken the square of both of these numbers, subtracted, and did the opposite. We wanted to round to the nearest 100 miles, so using our multiple choice, our 25,900 miles will be our answer. So look at this picture. It says the bottom of an 18-foot ladder is 5 feet from the side of the house. Find the distance from the top of the ladder to the ground. So this one you should have plugged in 5 squared plus a squared equals 18 squared. And this would be our b squared here. Used inverse operations and got 17 and 3/10 feet. And I forgot to write out the answer here, so it's also up here. But if you showed the work, this is what it should look like. I want you to look at this question and see if you can identify the student's error. So one leg of a right triangle is 3 centimeters and the hypotenuse is 4 centimeters. A student evaluates 3 squared plus 4 squared and takes the square root to find the length of the other leg. What error did the student make? I want you to answer this in your notebook, and we're going to talk about this in class tomorrow. So now you need to make sure you took all the notes. You need to have step by step, showing all your work. Go back and listen if you need to. Write down any questions you may have, and then make sure you go to the KIA website, click on the link to answer the question. See you tomorrow. Have a great night.